Good morning, children. I am Indra Priya, working as an English teacher in DAV Public School, Dr. NTTPS. Today, I am going to teach you an interesting lesson. Before going into the lesson, I would like to ask you some questions. See this picture carefully. What did you observe? Yes, the lion is looking into its reflection in the well. So what did the lion do on looking at its own reflection? Yes, it was roaring. It got angry and it was roaring. Why? It thought another lion was there in the well. And so to fight with it, it was roaring. So it was admired on seeing its reflection in the well. So like this, have you ever heard or read a story of a pet or an animal looking into a mirror? If yes, how did the animal feel? Many times these animals, while drinking water, they can see the reflection in the water. In our home also, sometimes these sparrows, they sit in front of the mirror and they see the reflection in the mirror and they wonder for it and they think another sparrow is there in the mirror and they beat the mirror with its beak. They feel that they are fighting with the sparrow. They see their own reflection and first of all they surprise and admire over it. So several times they repeat the same. So like this, today also we learn about a lesson, the snake and the mirror, where the snake, after seeing its reflection in the mirror, how it was admired, and you can come across to know the lesson. And here a homeopathic doctor is there, and once he was encountered a snake. The snake fell on the doctor, and doctor sat in front of the mirror. That's why the snake fell on the doctor, and after it crawled onto the table and it saw its reflection in the mirror. It surprised and it was more interested in that and deeply immersed in seeing its reflection. And the doctor's life was saved. We know this lesson now. Before going into the lesson, we know about the author. This interesting lesson was written by Vaikom Muhammad Bashir, a Malayalam writer. He was very famous and translations of his works into other languages have won him worldwide acclaim. So here the homeopathic doctor is narrating the story and he was narrating to all the villagers about his experience. So now listen. He asks the writer and the group, has a snake ever coiled itself round any part of your body? A full-blooded cobra. The audience became silent. Why? Due to fear of the snake, and moreover that too a full-blooded cobra. So never happens in anyone's life like this. Our body part is wrapped by a snake. Why this discussion has come? Because at that moment the homeopathic doctor and these villagers were discussing the snakes. So when they were discussing, he got and he recollected his experience with the snake. So he asked and he started narrating his story. The story was narrated by the doctor himself. It was a hot summer night. The homeopathic doctor lived in a small rented room. In this room, that is a very small room, and moreover, this homeopathic doctor was not so rich. That is a thatched roof. Because of that, in that house, along with the doctor, some rats also living. Both they are sharing the house. So because of that, on the gables, these rats, they move and they make noise and sometimes they destroy homeopathic doctor's things also in the house. On a hot summer night, once after completing his dinner at a restaurant, he came back and he entered the room. At that moment, he heard some noise from above. So, as usual, every day he was hearing that noise. That's what he could not show any interest. The sound was very familiar for him. So, as just started his medical practice, the doctor had just started his medical practice, so he was earning very less. He had just set up his medical practice and his earnings were meager. Meager means very small in quantity. He had 60 rupees and some dhotis and shirts in his suitcase. That is only his property. And he had a solitary black coat which he was wearing. Solitary means single. He took off his black coat, his shirt and his vest. His vest was not so white. His room also was not electrified. Electrified means there is no electricity, no power. That's what he lit a kerosene lamp. He sat in a chair near the table and took the book Materia Medica. So inside there was no air because it is hot summer. That's what he was not getting any air and there is no ceiling and no fan for him. So he went near to the windows and he opened that windows because to get the air. And he moved his bed also near to the window and he laid on the bed. But he did not get any sleep. That's why he got up and he sat again in the chair and he opened that table chest and he took the book Materia Medica and he was reading. And he sat in front of the table. He sat in the chair in front of the table, and there is a mirror and comb on the table. Lamp also there on the table. So once he saw his face into the mirror. Anyone, if we see mirror is there, immediately we tempt to see our reflection into the mirror. Several times we see, and we see in many of the poses that and we do many changes to make ourselves to look more handsome. And here also, sitting in front of the mirror, he took a look and his reflection and his face was looking so smart. And immediately he took the comb. He combed his hair like this and he changed his craft and everything. And he wanted to be more smart and handsome. And he saw his mustache. He wanted to change it. And he saw his smile. And he wanted to make it more handsome. Like this, many changes he was doing and admiring his own handsome. After all, he was a bachelor. Like this, the doctor sat in front of the mirror and he wanted to make some changes about his features because to look more handsome. He wanted to change his mustache and his hairstyle. And his smile has shown in the mirror so attractive. That's what he wanted to continue the same smile because he wanted to look himself more handsome. Why? After all, he was a doctor and moreover a bachelor. So, and again he got the sound from above the gables. He thought rats are moving and making noise. So, that's a hot summer night, hence he did not get any air inside the room. He got from the chair and started walking in the room from here to there like this. Outside also it is dark, inside also dark. And again he got some thoughts about his future. Now the doctor wanted to get married. So there is a very lovely thought for him. And he wanted to marry a woman doctor. Why? He was a doctor. That's what he wanted to marry a woman doctor. And that too the women doctor had plenty of money and had a good medical practice. He in this village he started his practice, but he is not getting more money. His earnings are very meager, very little amount. That's what to lead a happy life or a very luxurious life he needs money. That's why he wanted to marry a woman doctor who had plenty of money and a good practice. And slowly he got another silly thought. What is that? The women should be fat. Anybody wants to marry a fat lady? No, everyone likes to marry a smart and thin lady. But here this doctor would like to marry a fat lady. Why? See, the silly thing. If we had done any silly thing in the house, any mischievous, if she gets any angry and if she is ready to give any punishment, then he had to run away from that place, and she also has to chases him. But at that moment she is unable to run because of that fatness. Then she could not catch him. He can easily escape. That's why he wanted to marry a fat lady. For that silly thought he got laugh also. And after some time again he came back and sat in the chair in front of the table. Now there were no sounds from above. So he sat there silently. Everywhere in the house, in the room, it is so silent and quiet. But darkness, only the dim light is there, that is getting from the kerosene lamp. And just suddenly there came a dull thud sound, as if a rubber tube had fallen to the ground from above. The doctor jerked once, and he wanted to see what is that sound. No sooner had he turned back than a fat snake wriggled, moving moving over the back of the chair and landed on his shoulder, on doctor's shoulder. Imagine yourself in the dark night, the dim light, everywhere is silent, midnight, the snake crawled and once it settled on his shoulder. What a horrible condition. So, first of all, his body became freeze. He did not jump. He did not tremble. He did not cry out with fear. He did not jump from his place and tremble with fear. That means he did not fear. He did not shiver his body. And he did not cry out with fear. He sat there like a statue. And slowly the snake slithered, moved along his shoulder and coiled around his left arm above the elbow and spread his hood out, and its head is very near to his face, leaving only 3 or 4 inches away from his face. That means the death is very near to him. If he make any small slight movement also makes a reaction, and the snake bites him. That's what, with that fear, he did not jump or cry or tremble. And he was turned to a stone. Stone means there is no movement. Is it no? Like that he sat in the chair like a stone. But his mind was active, thinking, what should I do now? But at that moment he should not do anything except praying the God. The room was surrounded by darkness. Outside also darkness. In the light of the lamp, he sat there like a stone image in the flesh. That means stone image in the flesh means he was alive. But in the chair, he sat like a stone without any movement. And he was thinking at that moment, whom we call? We call the God. He prayed the God. And he prayed God deeply, please save my life, please do something. like this, except that he could not do anything. And slowly there was some pain in his left arm. And the pain also, and not only the pain, it is like a sensation of burning. Inside was burning like and giving severe pain. Like if you have taken any iron or lead rod, and if you have fired that burnt, and if you have pierced your hand with anyone's hand with that molten iron rod, how much pain they get, how much burning sensation it gives. Like that now the doctor was getting. Why? The snake which coiled his shoulder was crushing his hand, crushing his hand. That's what it became squeezed and getting severe pain. Could not control, but he controlled himself because the slightest movement can bring death to him because the head is very near to his face. And at his slightest movement the snake would strike him. Death lurked, that means very near to him, be about 4 inches away. And he thought, if the snake strikes me, what should I do? In the house also there were no medicines about the snake bite. They are there in the hospital, that is very away from his room. In that night he could not go and bring the medicine also. And he cursed himself. What a poor, foolish doctor I am. I could not keep this medicine also at home. So what should I do now? Very helpless, despair. In this condition, except God, I could not do anything and nobody will save my life. He thought like that and got a feeble, very weak smile on his face and he cursed himself for his helplessness and everything. Like this, the doctor was thinking about his poor condition and regretting himself. Suddenly, it seemed that God has appreciated his prayers and showed kindness over him. The snake turned its head. It looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. Once, very surprisingly, this is his first snake, I think. It has seen its own reflection into the mirror. Maybe another snake might have done, but I have seen first time a snake was looking its own reflection into the mirror. It surprised. I surprised, and the snake also may be surprised after seeing its reflection. And it did not move, and very deeply, very interestingly, it was looking into its reflection. What it is doing? Was it admiring its own beauty? Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a mustache like me, or using eyeshadow and mascara, or wearing any vermilion spot on its forehead? The snake, anyhow, the snake was very interestingly, it was looking at its reflection and nodding his head like this. And I got a thought whether the snake is a male snake or female. Female means it wanted to make its face more beautiful by keeping any mascara or eyeshadow, otherwise any vermilion spot bindi on its forehead. Otherwise, if it is any male, it wanted to grow any mustache like me and wanted to maintain any smile on its face. Like this, the doctor was thinking. But the snake unwound itself from his arm and slowly slithered into his lap. From there, it crept onto the table and moved towards the mirror. Perhaps it wanted to enjoy its reflection at closer quarters. And he was no mere image cut in granite. The doctor was no mere image cut in granite. No mere image cut in granite, meaning that there he did not sit like a statue, When once the snake uncoiled his shoulder and slithered into his lap and slowly crawled on its onto the table. Immediately the doctor got up from his chair and holding his breath once he came out and ran towards one of his friends' house. And he was gasping and he knocked his friend's door and friend came out and he told what happened actually there. And some of them asked. Meanwhile, in that what we say, he was discussing the snakes and he was narrating the experience. Then one of these villagers asked, "Doctor, you wanted to marry a fat woman. Is your wife very fat?" "No, my life companion. My wife is a thin, greedy person, very thin and tall, with the gift of a sprinter." Sprinter means a fast runner. What is the meaning? Man proposes, God disposes. And again he continued. Doctor reached his friend's house. Immediately he applied oil all over himself and took a bath. Why? Because his hand and his body was getting pain and all sweat. That's what, to get relief, he applied oil and took a bath. He changed into fresh dress. The next morning, he took his friend and some more villagers and he came to his room. But there nothing was there. We found they had little to carry. Some thief have already entered the house and he has cleared all the things. He has removed. He has taken everything except one thing, which is that leaving the vest, that is dirt, it was hung to the wall. And the doctor said, "My vest is very dirt." But this thief, he also has some of this cleanliness sense. Otherwise, if any another thief, he has to take that one also. And he has to clean that vest and he can use it. But this thief is somehow the sense of cleanliness. That's what he left that vest there only and he has taken remaining all things. Okay, doctor, did you see the snake the next day or any other day? No, I haven't. I was a snake. It was a snake which was taken with its own beauty. Never. I did not see the snake next any time. Maybe this is the first snake in my life which I have seen, which was taken and admired its own beauty after seeing into the mirror. He concluded like this. Thank you.